Hello, and just like usual, Blue and Chloe are wrestling right when the show starts. Yep. And thank you, Crystal, aka Beaver Gaming Sub Crystal, and Lanky Tor for the super chats even before the show started. Thank you. Also, I did want to say it's really tragic what happened to Kobe Bryant and his daughter and the other 7 people. I just happen to, I can only relate to Kobe Bryant because I've been an NBA fan my entire life, and I remember, his whole career. I remember how he would just terrorize the Blazers. We beat them a lot in Portland. A lot of, almost like literally a ton of times, but he always made the game close and hit crazy shots. And I sort of had a love-hate. I loved his game because I think he's just as good or better than Michael Jordan on offense, but not Jordan was a little bit better on defense and a great, so Jordan beats him out a little bit in my head, but Kobe Bryant was right there, top 5 offensive players of all time. Also, so I didn't like him that he was always competing against us, but I didn't have anything negative to say about him. He was, he's just a great player, and he turned into even a great person after basketball. You could just tell, he'd go to people, games of other players, and then they'd all come up to him, give him a hug. He just was a great guy. It just seemed so ludicrous that he's dead in a helicopter crash. And he was actually on the Laker team when, in, I think, the year 2000, the Lakers were up 3-1 in a best-of-7 series. Then we went to Los Angeles, beat them there with Shaq and everybody. And then we came back to Portland, won that game. Then we went back to Los Angeles for Game 7. We had a 15-point lead going into the fourth quarter. And Kobe and Shaq beat us, and then they went on to win the World Championship. And it was really whoever won that series was going to win the World Championship. So he stole one from us, all right? But, can't blame him. That's the reality of it. Okay, so that is the what I wanted to say on that. Just absolutely tragic, horrible. And then we've also got some breaking news on the Rexburg case of JJ and Tyler. Sources tell me authorities are in the Kauai Beach Resort in Hawaii serving a search warrant where Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell are believed to be located. Stay tuned. So that's pretty crazy. And then right after I saw that, Kay messaged me and said that the FBI was there, they served a warrant, but they didn't arrest them. So they let them go. It's like, God. But there's no sign of the kids. Where the hell are they? Yeah, I think there was another update. Yeah, and then there's another right here. Oh, look at that. You can actually see them right there.
I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com in Kauai, where Chad and Lori Daybell were served with 2 search warrants just hours ago. Law enforcement officers from eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when their vehicle was seized.
Oh, you can't see.
And they had no way to get home.
Hold on. I was getting into it.
Eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle,
Here, let me
Lori
start.
into
I'm going to start over because you can see them on the video. Hold on. And this is Eastside, Idaho. Wait, what the hell's going on? Why did it get so quiet? Oh, there it is.
In Kauai, where Chad and Lori Daybell were served with 2 search warrants just hours ago. Law enforcement officers from eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when their vehicle was seized and they had no way to get home. We had a chance to ask them so many questions that need answers. Lori, Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are?
Look, that's her right there.
Where are your kids?
No comment.
No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii?
Yeah, where are your kids?
Where are your children?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are.
And there's Chad.
Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to
I
Tammy,
just want to
Chad?
punch him in the face right there.
Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long?
How come
Listen,
you
just tell people what's
hid,
happening. There's people
Michelle?
around the
What did
country
she do?
praying for your children, praying for you
Hey, what happened? Somebody blocked Michelle there. What did she do? Oh, you unhit her. Okay, good.
guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say?
God, I hate
Did you
people
do
like
something
that.
to your children?
Man, I just want to...
Are your children still alive? That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children? What do you guys plan to do now? Are you you have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg, then what? Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes? Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now? Lori?
Oh, I like this guy.
Do you believe that you were instructed by God or others to do something for your children? If you could give a message to them, what would you say? Listen, if you just talk to us, we'll leave you alone.
Family's worried. Tammy's family's very worried.
Tammy's family's very worried. Lori, your mother, Kay, came out. Kay and Larry, they're offering a $20,000 reward for your children. And you're over here on the beach? This is your chance to tell your story. Nothing you want to say? One last chance right here? Anything you want to say to the people in Idaho?
Oh, God, I just want to punch him.
Laura, you have a lot of cash there in your baggie. Were you guys planning to leave Hawaii? Were you planning to take off?
Oh, they just think they're so smart.
And with that, Chad and Lori darted into this resort, and they still have not come out. Now, police have not said what they are searching for in that SUV or in their home, but one
High
thing
five to
that
the
was
reporter,
not found
okay?
is Lori's children. JJ and Tylee are still missing. Tomorrow, we will have much more from Hawaii. For now, I'm Nate Eaton reporting for EastIdahoNews.com.
Yeah, crazy. All right. Well, that was the update on that. We'll probably cover that in the next day or two again. Get some, that was wild right there. Man. Disgusting, really. I mean, they can't even answer a goddamn question. Really? Okay. Oh, God, just the look on their faces. Well, we'll see what happens in 5 days, right? Okay, and then also another case. There's one more update, and then we'll get on. We're going to get to the interview with Misty Watterson. It's really interesting. So you guys remember Stephanie Pars? I don't know if it's Parza or Pars, but you remember her? I think she's the one that went to see a psychic. It was like Halloween, or they were out with their family. Then she goes over to her boyfriend's house at one point. It's kind of murky, some of that stuff. But she actually, it sounds like they might have found her body. So remember, the boyfriend killed himself. You remember that? And it sounds like they may have found her body. Body of missing New Jersey woman Stephanie Pars, possibly found in woods. Okay, body recovered Sunday afternoon in a wooded area of Middlesex County. Could be that of missing New Jersey woman Stephanie Pars. Law enforcement sources told NBC New York. The body was found off Route 9 south of Old Mill Road in Old Bridge, the county prosecutor's office said. Yeah, so she vanished the night before Halloween after dropping her parents off at their house following a family night out. Her car was still in the driveway along with her phone at her home in Freehold Township. In late November, John Osbulgen, her ex-boyfriend, was found dead by suicide in his home. And this is after he killed her. And so they weren't able to, I don't know how they found her body, to be honest with you, but they did somehow. So that is that breaking news. All right, so here we go. This is going to be, now we're going to listen to the interview with Misty Watterson, Allyson Watterson's mother. And I can put up a, let's see, let me get an image to have on the screen here, just a second. Just so you're not just staring at a blank file the whole night. Be just a second. Yeah, the image that I have on here, I'll just put this up here. I mean, that's exactly what she looks like when I was interviewing her. So this is Misty, and that's Allyson right there, and then here's the missing persons posters that they're giving out. They even had hoodies with the missing persons poster on it. And the thing is they're raising funds to pay for a private investigator, and they're paying for search dogs and other things, and they're actually, the donations go to the Kyron Horman Foundation. Now there was a problem with the link, because I went there just to make sure everything was working on the 28th, because I'll donate some money to it. It didn't work. It had something wrong with the link to PayPal they weren't aware of. So she called up the guy that runs it, and they're fixing that. Okay? Yeah, she's got $5,000 of her own money. So there was some friends of hers who put together a PayPal account, and it was just supposed to be for her. Okay, and she paid a couple bills. You'll hear what it says. Couple bills. And then the rest of it's all gone to the reward. There's $5,000 reward in there. Okay, so anyways, let's listen to the interview here. Let me turn down the music here. Maybe I'll put it really low. Can you guys hear that at all? It's really low. That's probably good enough. All right, here we go. How about you tell us a little bit about... so we just we're just rambling on, so it doesn't have a flow, so I'm just starting off right at where I ask her. How about you tell us a little bit about Allyson? Like, tell us who Allyson is.
Allyson is a very kind, loving, free spirit. She loves love, and she celebrates love, and she loves her family. She absolutely loves her friends. She's got a million friends, from all walks of life, and she loves them all very dearly. She's got tons of best friends, and she always has. And she's a little girl. She would try and do sleepovers with her friends, but her and I are really close, and she'd always, Mom, you got to come pick me up, and she wouldn't be able to make it because she just needed to come home and be with her mom. So until she was about 12 years old, and she finally was able to actually do a overnight sleepover the whole night. So every time she went over to a friend's house, I was like, just waiting for the phone call.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, by the way, I bring up the lizard eye story to her, just based on something she said. It was pretty funny, but that's later on. How about you tell us a little bit about...
she wants to travel, and, she loves animals. She, sticks up for the people that are, anyone would be picking on. She advocates for, homeless, mentally ill, veterans. She's an advocate for people that, maybe less fortunate in life, and she's always sticking up for them. And, she always helps me see the more human side of people. And, she's a really great, wonderful human being. And I miss her just so deeply.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak for everybody on my channel, everybody that has been following this, everybody's just like, must be just absolutely horrible for you, and they want you to get, find her, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's, we're working really hard to do that. And, we, myself and friends and family, we are investigating, things, and the, Washington County is investigating things. And, sometimes people are more willing to talk to me, or maybe my sister, or, a couple good friends of ours, Jen and Steve Graham, before they'd be willing to talk to police, and sometimes we can kind of suit that over with them, and help make people a little more willing to talk to law enforcement. So,
yeah, that makes sense.
We're working really hard to find her.
Now, let's see. I wanted to get into the actual, information surrounding the case, because a lot of people are confused. And when I was talking to, I think it was yesterday, there were some things that were like, oh God, it makes total sense now. It's like, but there's so many rumors and everything. But let's see. So how about this part? How long had Allyson and Ben been dating?
It was a fairly new relationship, maybe a couple of months they've been seeing each other. They actually met each other in high school, though. They both went to Miller High School. It's kind of an alternative school in Hillsborough for about a year. And they met there, and they were friends, kind of had crushes on each other, and, just never really did anything about it. And then, they started dating probably back in October, seeing each other, and so it was fairly new. So,
Well, is there any truth to the information when people bring up that maybe there was drugs involved with his life, or even Allyson, I guess?
I do believe he had a little bit of a drug problem. I mean, whether it was a little bit or a lot. She had confided in me that, he had struggles with addiction. And, and there was a few times that, she told him that she wanted to break it off because she wanted him to get help and get treatment, and, she wanted him to have a better life. And, so I think that there definitely was an issue there. And, and he's kind of been in and out of recovery, and so, there's definitely, I think, something there.
What about on Allyson's end? Did she have any issues with that?
Allison's a normal, healthy, 20-year-old, free-spirited girl. She likes, they go to parties, they drink, and, she's definitely would smoke marijuana. As for hard drugs, I think she would just experiment with them. She, for the last year, she really struggles with really debilitating anxiety. And, I think that she fell into the Xanax world to try and, combat that anxiety. And then, along some point, she just said, Mom, it's, I'm having a hard time stopping it. So, her and I worked together and to try and get her off of it. And she was doing really, really well, kind of on a tapering down. And, she was pretty much almost off of it by the time she went missing. So, she struggled a little bit with it, but she was always very open and honest with me. She tells me everything. So,
yeah, I've had anxiety. Anxiety is awful. I mean, so I had panic after my brother died for like 2 years. I had panic attacks. This is me live again, by the way. And man, it's horrible. Like you feel like you can't breathe. Your heart's beating all weird all over the place. And then it just kind of compounds on itself. If you just like slap yourself in the face or jump in cold water, it seems to kind of put you back into reality. It's weird. But it's totally debilitating. Sucks. The anxiety attacks, did she describe them to you? I mean, they're really...
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
She's had anxiety since she was a little girl. She also... So she has a couple of neurological disorders. She has Tourette's syndrome. And I think the kind of the tics that you get and the kind of obsessive compulsive disorder that comes along with having Tourette's made her anxiety worse. And, she just had a really hard time kind of...
Excuse me, let me, I had this alarm. Yeah, so let me explain. See, we were supposed to have our meeting. I was supposed to talk to her at 5 o'clock, right? So she messaged me at 4:30 and go, hey, you want to do it now? And then I forgot that I had an alarm set for 4:45. So it started going off right in the middle of it. Okay. It wasn't irresponsible. Oh, my God, did you hear Gray? He had the yellow. Oh, my God. All right, don't worry about it. Right now, so that I wouldn't forget to call you.
Okay.
So it just went off. Sorry about that. Let me turn it off. Yeah, so she had Tourette's and the little compulsive disorder that comes with it made her more anxious about just herself, probably, right?
Yeah. So, she, I think that she, along with a lot of people in addiction, she self-medicated, and, sometimes it was her anxiety would get so bad, I'd be like, hey, honey, well, why don't you make yourself a doctor's appointment? And
yeah, the thing is what they're writing in the chat right there is exactly right. You feel like you are going to die, and then it's weird how it just sort of ends at some point. But you definitely have that feeling. It's horrible. I mean, it's just like you can't breathe. Everything is just... I had it one time where I was fully clothed, and I turned on the shower and just jumped in there to sort of shock my mind out of it, because it's totally mental. But it becomes physical after that. Right now, so that I wouldn't forget to call you.
Okay.
So it just went off. Sorry about that. Compulsive disorder that comes with it made her more anxious about just herself, probably, right?
Yeah. So, she, I think that she, along with a lot of people in addiction, she self-medicated, and, sometimes it was her anxiety would get so bad, I'd be like, hey, honey, well, why don't you make yourself a doctor's appointment? And, and she tried to a few times, but sometimes the anxiety was so bad she couldn't even go to the doctor, Sometimes she couldn't leave the house because of it. And, and I just tried to work with her. And, I mean, I have a lot of compassion towards, anybody with mental illness, and especially my daughter, So.
Yeah, but her it was anxiety and Tourette's, maybe.
Anxiety. The Tourette's is a neurological disorder.
Right, okay.
But the anxiety she's had since she was a little girl, I spoke about how she couldn't, do sleepovers, couldn't actually stay the whole night. And I like to say it's because she loved me, but a lot of it was just anxiety from being away from home, Yeah. And so, she's had it for a really long time, and, we kind of dealt with it in school, and
Well, good. It sounds like she was working on any problems that she might have.
Yeah.
Like a normal person would do.
Right.
So let's say
She's always wanted to better herself, She was always really willing to. She is always really willing to try and better herself and do the right thing in life. So
she seems like she is artistic too.
Very.
What is she best at? What is she good at?
Well, she loves to draw. She's drawn a lot of pictures, and throughout growing up and stuff, she really loved drawing, and she loves makeup. She's always wanted to be like a makeup artist when she grew up, and she's really great at doing makeup.
I mean, some of the photos she took, looks like almost like she could be a model or something. The way she put the makeup on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. She's a gorgeous young lady.
So maybe you could tell us about like that day. I think it was the 22nd, or when were they? They left before that though, right? To go, and what were they going? Yeah, explain that whole situation. I didn't know how to word it. I was confused.
She left my house at 4:00 on Friday the 20th. She said, "I'm going to hang out with some friends, and I love you." She did some chores around the house. I gave her a little bit of money, and it wasn't unusual for her to be gone a day or two with her friends. So it's okay. Well, just make sure you message me tomorrow is what I told her. She said, "Okay. I love you." She left in good spirits. Everything was fine. And Saturday, I message her and, "Hey, how's it going, honey?" And, "I'm fine, Mom. Love you." What we normally do, every time she's out with her friends, I just have her do a quick check-in, because I'm not trying to hassle her for whatever she's doing. I trust her, and I know that she's got a good head on her shoulders. So, we just kind of have that deal that she knows that I worry, and so she promises to check in.
So she did check in on Saturday.
She checked in a couple times on Saturday. We just, "Hey, honey, you having fun?" "Yeah, Mom, I love you." She'd ask how my day was all the time, and, just normal mother-daughter stuff. And then, Sunday morning, I woke up for work, and I said, "Hey, sweetie, you didn't come home last night. I was just hoping, I hope everything's okay." And she got back to me. This was at like 6 in the morning, right when I woke up for work. And she messaged me back at 8:30, and she said, "Yeah, Mom, I'm good." She said, "I spent the night at Ben's house last night, where he stays, and he's doing better, but not the best. He's working right now. I will be home tonight, and I love you so much." I said, "Okay, honey, I love you too."
But what does that mean? What does that mean? You can go back to where you were, but what does that mean? He was doing better. Like, how was he?
So, because he had some problems with addiction.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I wasn't really allowing him over at our house. So I think she was just trying to say, "Hey, Mom, being honest with me, I'm with Ben, but he's doing better. Not the best, but he's working." I wasn't sure if she was talking about working like a job or working on it. I wasn't really sure how to take that specific, but she was just telling me that she was with him. So, and I love you so much, and I'll see you, I'll be home tonight. And fine, I went to work. I actually did a double at my job that day, so came home Sunday night, went to bed, and woke up Monday morning at like 5, and she wasn't home. So I immediately started messaging her, like, "Hey, Allyson, what's up? You didn't come home last night." Like, it's like when you say you're going to do something, at least stick to it, or let me know that you're not going to. So I was a little irritated about that. But anyway, so in my phone, she's used my phone a few times. Her phone is actually broken, and I'll kind of get into that story later about the broken phone. So she would log into Messenger from my phone. So I switched over to her Messenger, and I started messaging like 5 or 6 of the top 6 people that it seemed like she'd had some contact with in the last few days. And I just said, hey, to the people, hey, this is Allison's mom. I'm on her messenger account, and I'm wondering if you've seen her. I've not, she's just to come home last night, and she didn't. And a couple people got back to me, no, I haven't seen her, and just kind of like, I hope everything's okay. And okay, well, if you do see her, let her know her mother's looking for her, yeah, no problem. And then one person that I actually had messaged on there was Molly Garland. I thought that was Ben's sister for some reason. And so I messaged her. I said, hey, have you seen Allyson? She didn't come home last night. This is her mother. And Molly got back to me, an hour later and said, no. She said, I saw them yesterday. I gave them both a ride at like 7:30 in the morning. I bought them both a pie. They ate it, and then I dropped them off. They both seemed like they were in good spirits, and, everything was fine. And I said, okay, well, and I said, hey, are you Ben's sister? And she said, no, this is his mom. And I was like, oh, okay. So her and I kind of chatted a little bit about Ben and Allyson, kind of their relationship and, the struggles that they were both, mostly he was having, but her and I kind of chatted about some things that they had been going through, and, everything was fine. She checked in with me a couple hours later and said, hey, have you heard anything? I said, no. Okay, well, she said, let me ask a friend of theirs that they both hang out with, if he's seen them. So she gets back to me about an hour after that, and she says, the guy that they both hang out with said that he hasn't seen them in about 18 hours. And I said, okay. And I still, at this point, didn't think, I just was like, more just mad that she wasn't getting a hold of me, like, whatever else, and,
Well, does Ben stay with, remember where you're at, but does Ben stay with his mother? Is that where
from my understanding, I think that when he's not doing well, he really isn't allowed there. I think he kind of couch hops is kind of what my understanding was. But to be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure what the whole story on that situation. I know that, him and Allyson had stayed a couple nights there, like a few weeks prior. I'd brought her some dinner or something one night, and I drove it to their house, and it was Ben's mom's house. So, I don't think that he was completely not allowed there, but it doesn't sound like he was staying there full time.
So the place where the place where Allyson said that they were staying, in the text messages, that was somewhere else then. Do you know where that was, or?
I didn't find out later. I found out later whose house she was talking about. Okay. So yes, I know the person that she was talking about. I know who he is. So, anyway, so back to my story. So Molly actually messaged me about 1:00, and she said, hey, have you heard anything? And I said, no, not yet. I'm getting a little concerned because, no, I haven't heard anything. This is not like Allyson to not keep in contact with me. So she said, okay, well, I'll keep checking around. And I said, okay. And I was actually at work at the time. And I get off work about 3:00, and I actually have 2 jobs. So I went right over to my second job. I cut hair. And I'm cutting hair. It's about 6:30. We're really busy. There's only 2 stylists there. And my phone rings. And, I take it, and I tell my client, I'm sorry, I have to take this. And so I, go back in the break room, and it's Molly. She says, hey, just to let you know, Ben and Allyson were in North Plains, and Ben lost Allyson in the woods there. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, he left her there. And so Ben and his dad have been back there looking for her for the last 3 or 4 hours. So apparently when Ben's dad got home around 12:30, he asked where Allyson was, and he said, well, I left her there. So he immediately took him and they spent about 3 hours, scouring that area. So she finally calls me and tells me, she's lost in the woods.
It's actually more like 5.
So we've called the police, and that's where the whole nightmare began. That's where my nightmare began. So, I'm not even sure about, what nightmare Allyson has had to go through. But
Ben went home though, right? Like Ben went home, but he would have been home at like 8 a.m. So the dad wasn't home at that point.
Yeah. So his dad works night shift.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't get home until about 11:30 that day.
I see.
So Ben got home at 7:30 in the morning and never said a word to his mom about leaving Allyson in the woods. Nothing was said until Don got home and said, he said, "Hey, like, what's going on?" He kind of looked all rough and, just, like he'd been through something, and, he's like, "Where's Allyson?" And that's when he told him, "I left her in North Plains in the woods." He said that she was tired and just couldn't go anymore, and he got frustrated and just left her there. So
yeah, but that does make a lot of sense given some of the other information. So they were in North Plains. Do you know why they were in North Plains?
Well, Ben has a couple friends that live out there.
Okay, and is one of those friends where he normally stays when?
Yes.
Okay. So he stays out there, and then, so the vehicle that he was driving Allyson around in, that was a stolen truck that he had stolen, right? Is that true, or?
Yes. So Ben stole the truck sometime in the between Saturday night and Sunday morning. I don't know exactly which time.
And, oh wow!
He had that truck
Sunday.
for about 15 hours.
And where was it stolen from?
I have no idea.
So that's pretty interesting right there, right? I mean, he stole the truck while he was with Allyson. So maybe Allyson got pissed, wanting him to change and get off the drugs and become a better person. And then he's out there stealing a truck right in the middle of this whole deal, right?
That's part of the investigation that they're just not, I just don't have the information for. So.
Well, it's interesting though, and I wonder if that upset Allyson, because she was with him during that time, right? Yeah. Right.
I mean, I could just imagine what she was thinking. Like, she doesn't, like, she's a good kid. I'm not saying she's perfect. She's, but she's not somebody that we go steal a car. She's not. That's just not in her. Like, it's just not her to do that. So
right.
I'm just wondering, like, what the thought process was between both of them as to why that was happening. So
maybe you could explain. So that was on the 22nd. It was Sunday, right? So then.
Yeah. No. So when they called me, that was Monday, the 23rd.
Yeah, it was the 23rd. Right. That's right.
Right.
and that's actually when the father and they went out looking again because he slept overnight. So maybe you can tell us what you know about the 22nd.
Okay. What I know is Ben and Allyson they went to a house on Old Pumpkin Ridge Road, a woman named Sally's house. They knocked on her door and asked her to use their phone. They said that they had been in a car accident. And so the woman said, "Hey, okay, well, let me call the police for you." Sally said that they both were like, "Oh, no, never mind," and they started to walk away really fast. She said, "Hey, wait a minute, come back. Let's, fine, we don't need to call the police. I'll let you use my phone." Got Allyson a glass of water. She said she was thirsty. Sally said that Allyson looked very scared and in shock. She said that she had mud on her face and, her clothes were kind of wet, and she just said they both just looked like they had been, something was wrong. And also Allyson was wearing Ben's shoes. They were a type of sneakers, like a Adidas or Nikes or something. She said that she had lost her shoes somewhere. So Ben let her wear his shoes. So Sally gave Ben a pair of slippers from her husband to wear. So they make the phone call. He calls his grandmother. Grandmother agrees to come pick them up, and they leave. They start walking back down Old Pumpkin Ridge Road.
No, can I just do a clarification thing? Are you sure that's because there's Pumpkin Ridge Road and then Old Pumpkin Ridge Road?
I'm sorry. It's Pumpkin Ridge Road. I apologize.
Okay, I was just wondering because I was looking at the map and I believe it was like 10:30s when they made that call, right? And it's
and that was on Pumpkin Ridge Road.
And that's actually very similar, close to that road that in yesterday's search, right? It's close to that road that you. It's about.
Yeah, it's a couple miles. It's about probably 4 miles up. Where we were at is 4 miles up from where Sally's house is. So.
Yeah. Well, it looks like the way I have it on, I have this map that somebody gave me, and it looked like, you know, the road that goes to the place that the park that you guys were searching yesterday, that road.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. The way I have it on my map is that it was only like about a quarter mile before that on the right is where the 10:30 call was made.
I don't think that's accurate.
That's not it? Okay.
No, it's, I don't remember the exact address. I mean, if we drove there, I could show you exactly where it's at, but
okay.
It's a couple miles at least from,
I see.
Where we were at yesterday.
But before it becomes, where you can veer off onto Old Pumpkin Ridge Road, right? Before that.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now go ahead.
So they leave. The grandmother's on her way. They're walking, down They're walking down Pumpkin Ridge Road. My apologies. And the grandmother, she comes and looks for them. She's driving up and down Pumpkin Ridge Road because there's actual surveillance of her car driving up and down. In fact, we have a friend. It's my brother-in-law is a really good friend that he works with, lives on Pumpkin Ridge, and he actually has her on surveillance, pulling in his driveway and turning around.
Oh, wow.
And so she was there. That's, everything, that story checks out. And they just, what Ben had told me, I asked, after she went missing, on Tuesday, Christmas Eve, I asked Don and Molly to please have Ben call me from jail. I said, I'm not going to yell at him. I will be respectful. I just want to talk to him. He's the last person that saw my daughter. I think I have that right to speak with him. Fine. He agrees, and he calls me. And he had told me in that phone call, because I said, why didn't you guys get in your grandma's truck? And he just said, we saw her, but we were scared. We were scared to get in the truck. And I said, scared of what? And he wouldn't tell me what they were scared of. So maybe it was police, or I don't know. I don't know what they were scared of, but they didn't get in the truck, and then they started walking through the woods, and he said they walked for hours and hours and hours, and she was tired and she was cold, and she just said, I can't go anymore. And that's when he got mad. He said he got mad and left her. So. But
that's just, nobody does that,
No, I know. I mean, it's just like,
That's the story that's what he told you, anyways.
That's what he told me. So,
do you know what time the grandmother was out there?
She was driving up and down that road about between 11 and noon.
Okay, so that does fit up really nicely with the delivery person.
Yes.
So those are accurate. She said at 11:05.
Absolutely.
And then
right.
Okay. So how close to those spots where she, because I'm sure you've seen that on a map, where she says she saw them, was the call that was made?
Within walking distance, 20 minutes away. 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah, right in there. Okay.
Yeah.
So the delivery person saw them at another house, I guess, like at a door.
Well, she just said she saw them walking. I don't know if it was at a door. I don't remember her saying that. But
Well, she messaged me, so I kept asking her questions.
oh, okay.
She said
okay, well, maybe she did see him at a door. I don't know.
Yeah.
I hear things, so much information from people. It's like sometimes it's hard to
Yes.
remember exactly what they say. So
Well, definitely that is hard. I mean, I have to do it. I'm getting better at it, but I'm still not, because I do this every day. And it's like, man, sometimes you go over something and then you're covering it again 2 weeks later and you don't remember every single thing. Yeah, so she did say that she was spotted at, I don't have the address listed there, but at a house. And then she delivered more packages. And then on the way down, I think she's not quite.
You know what, girl, you're right. She did see them when they were standing at Sally's. You're right. She did tell me that.
Oh, so that's.
And then you're right. Okay. When she came back down, she saw them walking.
Oh, that's interesting. So that is Sally's house then. The one I have mapped probably right there. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Huh. That's interesting. Okay. So. Yeah. So it sounds like we clarified some things. This house here doesn't seem like that was the house the call was made, even though that was told to me earlier on by another family member. I don't know. So this is just kind of always changing because people don't have the exact information. It feels like this is more accurate, just given the way she said it. Now, the one issue that I'm having here is I asked later how long this isn't on the interview, I asked it after on Facebook. I asked how long were Ben and Allyson at this neighbor's house right here, the one they made the call from, and she said 15 minutes. Well, if you go 10:30 would be 10:45, so I said, well, is 10:30 something that's real? And she said, well, that was an estimate. Okay, so it could easily be 10:45, something like that. Then we could see it getting into the 11:05 time when they were right there, and then another 11:25 right here when she was driving down. That's kind of like the last confirmed sightings by anybody really, the people
by a third party. Yep.
Yeah, by a third party. And then tell us about like what you know about Ben and him waking up and getting in the truck, that kind of thing. So the thing about him being scared to get into his grandmother's car after he just called her to come pick them up is weird, except if you were listening to the show last night, I mean, the grim scenario would be that something happened to Allyson in between the time the call was made and the time the grandmother showed up, so that when Ben saw the car driving by, he couldn't then flag down the grandmother, because then the grandmother would say, well, where is Allyson? And then he wouldn't be able to have an explanation for that. And then searching and everything would have started a lot sooner. Okay, but the way he did it, it allowed for a lot more time to elapse before anybody came out there in an official capacity.
So he told me that after him and Allyson separated, that he went into these blackberry bushes not too far from where he separated from her and was sleeping and like wrestling around in the blackberry bush. He says he fell asleep for like 6 hours.
Yeah.
And then when he woke up, he went and found the truck to like go to sleep in. And that's how he was found in a gentleman named by Ralph found him sleeping in his truck at like 7 a.m.
Okay, I think I have his house. Now, the house that has all those, the broken down cars out front with the gravel, is that generally where he said he slept in blackberry bushes?
No, that's the house that he said he left her at. on
wow.
Old Pumpkin Ridge.
Huh.
So the one, it's a property, kind of across the street, maybe a block, like if you're thinking city.
Yeah, so what was new here as well, I mean, with a lot of new details, but here Ben says that he left Allyson at this property right here. Not in the middle of the woods or anything. So how did she get lost? And it's somewhat verified because when the dogs came out, they actually alerted on these buildings to Allyson's scent. So she was in this area. Okay, she was there at some point. But then he says, oh, we got separated, but yet you sleep right here in the same area that you got lost from her, where you left her, and then you get up in the middle of the night and you just go right there. This is all really close to each other. How did Allyson get lost? There is woods here, but everywhere you go, it runs back into houses. It's not a long ways. Something doesn't make sense.
If you're thinking city.
Yeah.
City blocks, maybe like a block away across the street was Ralph's house.
Yeah, so that's where Ralph's house. But where did he say he slept in the blackberry bushes? Because
He didn't say. He didn't say.
But he says he left Allyson at that house, right?
Right.
Well, how did she get lost then? I mean, she's right there.
Right.
Okay, I guess that's part of the craziness. Yeah. And then, so he sleeps apparently in some blackberry bushes right around in there, or somewhere.
Yeah.
And somehow he leaves her right there, but then goes in. Well, what's strange is Ralph's house is literally like 200 yards from where he says he left her, so it's not far away.
Right.
So I don't know how they get lost at that point. It's weird.
Right.
Huh. Okay. And it was strange because when I went there, I flew the drone the
189
first day,
yards.
at that driveway. That's the address you had given me when I showed up at that school. And and I flew over the valley and kind of swept back and forth. I didn't see anything. And they came up, the two homeowners. There's two people there. And they were on these little all-terrain vehicles. And they said, oh, yeah, go ahead. But then the next day I went there and I literally walked 20 feet onto their property. And they were like, hey, what are you doing here? And I was like, hey, I was the guy from yesterday? It was weird. It was kind of a little odd behavior there.
The whole situation's weird.
And you've had
the whole situation.
And actually there was some dogs that actually hit where they should hit, right there, if she was.
Yeah, we had some set specific dog come out and hit a bunch on that property, So
it's just so bizarre.
So she was there at one time.
It's weird because some of the stuff that he says adds up, but then logistically things don't work in your mind.
Right.
And it's like, who does that?
Right.
I mean,
Exactly.
the grandmother is driving around and you're literally, you see her, even though you're the one that called her and you say, oh, we're scared to go.
Right.
It doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay,
it's what were they scared of? In my mind, I wonder, what were they scared of? I'm trying to figure out what they were scared of,
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense. So he makes his way up into the truck. I think I can actually see it. I just drove by there the other day. It's up there parked on the left side of the house. And he gets in that truck, and then at 7:30 in the morning, the homeowner finds him in the car.
Yeah, he finds him, and this is what Ralph told me. He said, "Hey man, what are you doing in my truck?" And he's like, "Please don't be mad." He's like, I was up here last night with my girlfriend and two of my friends, and we were at a bonfire, and they all left me here. And he said, and I was just trying to escape from the rain. So, the guy said, Ralph said he didn't seem to, like anything was really wrong. So he said, okay, well, can I give you a ride home? He said, yeah, I live over off Glencoe Road. And he's like, okay. So he takes him home, and Ralph said he never mentioned a word about leaving Allyson there or that she was lost there. He said that they left him there.
Now, here's a question that somebody wanted me to ask was, did Ben have on the slippers when he was sleeping?
Mm-hmm. When he was sleeping, yes. I'm pretty sure Ralph said yes. He had on slippers.
So he didn't have his
In
shoes
fact,
on. Okay.
And his mother Molly, also stated that when he came home, he was wearing slippers, and she ended up just throwing them away because they were all muddy and gross.
Wow. So what did she say when she saw? What did Molly think when she saw Ben when he got home? What was
she didn't really state to me what she thought. She didn't really. I just know that Don Garland was like, "Hey, man, what have you been up to? Where's Allyson?" So he was kind of asking the questions, and he, Ben was home for, 3-4 hours before he even, and never mentioned it to his mom that he'd left Allyson there.
Yeah. God. So then he waited for his dad to come home. Yeah.
Well, what bothers me is that, Molly and I had been talking throughout the day. When she asked me about 1 o'clock if I'd heard anything, they were already out there looking for her.
Oh, yeah.
So why wasn't anything said to me?
Yeah. Maybe the dad didn't tell her why they were going out there or something.
I mean, I just can't fathom and think of why we were talking and nobody said a word to me until I get the phone call that they called the police.
Yeah,
I would have dropped everything if they would have told me that right then.
Yeah, so that is kind of weird, right? The father of Ben and Ben had already left to go out and look for Allyson, so you'd think the wife, Molly, would know that they went out there, but yet when she spoke to Misty, she didn't mention anything like that. Yeah,
I would have dropped everything if they would have told me that right then and there at 1 o'clock when she messaged me, and would have left to go look for her.
And they don't live that far away, really, right? They live near that sort of the Boy Scout area-ish?
Yeah,
okay.
Yes.
So they, it's not far away. I think it would only be at most maybe a 15-minute drive.
Right, it's about 15 minutes, 20 minutes.
Let's say that when the father got home, they drove out there. So they were out there looking around 12:30ish, right? I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So 12:30. So let's say then they call at 5:30 to report her missing. So there's like 5 hours of time there. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I hate the speculation part of it. Kind of starts running wild because
Well, sure, because we don't have answers and we just don't know. And of course, my mind has gone to many different places. I'm thinking of all scenarios. I'm her mom. It's I want to know what happened. I want to know why. What happened after 11 o'clock Sunday morning. What the time between when they made the phone call and the time from when Ben woke up in that guy's truck. That's a lot of hours where nobody saw them.
Yeah, there's two different time frame. The overall time frame's a lot, like the 30 hours.
Yeah,
but
30 hours.
But then the 5 is even a little bit more. That's weirder too because they were there in the area for 5 hours before calling. The Ben and the father.
Yes, and Ben's sister.
Oh, really? Okay. Have you tried reaching out to her at all, or?
They all of them were talked to me the first couple of days, and I kind of messaged back and forth with Molly for, the first week, and she was, very concerned, and, they all seemed very concerned, and they were really nice to me, and, as a parent to a parent, they were just devastated, they were devastated, well, where is she? They were scared too. They seemed to be scared, so, I just, who knows if they have the answers? Who knows?
Yeah. Yes.
That's
right.
They seemed genuine. They seemed very genuine, but I don't really know them. So, I'm left to wonder,
And now they're protecting their son because it looks suspicious around him.
Right.
So now they're probably going to clam up a little bit.
Right.
So now how about maybe you can tell us about the cell phone conspiracy.
The cell phone conspiracy. Okay. So Allyson and I both, back in April, we both got brand new iPhones. It was kind of, I did it for her birthday. Her birthday's in June, but, it was kind of an early birthday present. And, they're kind of expensive. So, this is your birthday present. There you go. And she ended up breaking hers, like shattered. Could not use it. There was no service on it. Something like on the inside was wiggling around. The screen was broken. It just wasn't usable. So that was a couple months ago, probably early November when she broke it. So she basically, was using just like a cheap, because we had Sprint where you get like 5 lines and they give you 2 good phones and 3 kind of crappy phones. So she was using, the little crappy phones, and those broke as well. So she was basically down to just using the iPad. And so when she'd go out, she would have no phone. So one day I'm at work. I work at a restaurant, and this lady comes up to the bar, and she's sitting there, and I'd waited on her a couple of times, really nice lady. And she's like, look at my new phone. She shows me this, the brand new iPhone with the little 3 cameras on it. And I was like, yeah, that's so nice. And, we're just having some dialogue about that. And she says, but what's really weird? She goes, because she said she'd lost her phone. And then she said, yeah, they just called me and said that they found it some place that she was in. So she was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with 2 phones? And kind of a light bulb went off, and I was like, well, is it an iPhone? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, you should sell it to me for my daughter. My daughter needs a phone right now. I just didn't really have the money to go fix hers. And so I said, you should sell it to me, She's like, yeah, totally. And then I didn't hear from her for a couple weeks, and then she came in on a Monday morning, and she just hands it to me. She says, here, I'm just going to give it to you. She said, I went to Sprint, got it wiped clean, and there you go. And I said, are you sure you don't want me to pay you for it? No, it's fine. So she had a drink, and I paid for her drink, and that was that. And I gave the phone to Allyson. So she had the phone for probably maybe 3-4 weeks. And her and I took it into Sprint to get her phone number switched over to it. So we get there, and they said, yeah, we can do that, except what'll happen is you'll lose your Apple insurance on the broken phone, and then you won't be able to fix it for the $100 at the Apple store. And I was like, oh, okay, well, then we'll just wait then. And I was going to get her phone fixed for Christmas. And, well, that didn't happen because she went missing, so.
Yeah, what a weird, unfortunate.
Yeah.
I wonder why you would lose insurance. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, because it's only on it only covers that specific phone. So because somebody else gave me the phone, it wasn't really a part of our plan. So the phone that was hers, that was broken, that was on the plan. That's what we were paying the insurance on. So I mean, they said, well, we could switch it over, but we'll lose the insurance. And I thought, oh, I want to be able to get that phone fixed for her.
But it seems like you bought the insurance for that other phone. You would just be temporarily using this other one. That sort of doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But.
That's just what they told me. So
yeah.
I'm not a phone person. I just
either am I.
kind of listened to what they said, and
I was like,
she'd been using it on Wi-Fi for a few weeks, and it seemed to have been working out. So I thought, oh, what's another week or so? So yeah, but of course, and I kick myself now because maybe if her phone was working, maybe she could have called me, or there's just so many things that go through my mind about.
Yeah, but that's not something you're ever going to expect, something like that. That's just...
Yeah.
There's, almost every time there's a situation similar to this, people start going, oh man, if I had just done this, or if I had just done that, but
right.
There's no way of not, you're acting how a normal person acts. You're not clairvoyant.
Yeah.
So what are some of these, how has social media been towards you, the family?
I mean, 90% has been fine. There's been some people that have said some really horrible, awful things about me and my family and my daughter. I try really hard not to read those things because, I'm busy looking for my daughter. I really don't have time to read all that stuff, but I get told about it, and, it's heartbreaking and it's hurtful, and, it makes me angry that people, judge us and our family for whatever reason. I've been accused of hiding her. I've been accused of scamming people out of money. I've been accused of some really horrible things. My daughter's been accused of things, that just aren't true. And it comes from people that don't know us and they don't know who we are as people. We're from this community. We both grew up here. We're very well connected here.
I think what it is people when they run out of information, then they start inventing things to keep. Sure. So.
And I understand that, but this is the thing: is that all the information they have is the information I have. The detectives don't tell me stuff. They can't. They're openly investigating this.
What are you talking about, Reason? Are you a psychic? What are you talking about? You saw her up in a tree. What are you talking about? Yeah, what do you mean? What are you talking about up in a tree? What are you talking about? Okay, yeah, see you later. Not doing it. No, we don't do that on this channel here. Okay, here we go.
The situation. They cannot give me information. They may have some behind the scenes. I don't know about it. What I do on my end is when I receive information, I give it to them because that's my job. I'm not trying to hide anything from them. I'm an absolute open book with them. I'm very transparent, and I have a great relationship with law enforcement. We're both working really hard to find her, and it's really counterproductive for people to sit there and, get on their keyboards and accuse me of hiding her. Mm-hmm. And, I've had people have said that, I probably gave her drugs, and it's just not true. You're going through life. You have your kids, you have your job, you're doing your thing, and then one day your daughter's just plucked out of your life. You just can't even imagine the absolute fear and darkness and worry and heartbreak. There's not even any words that can describe to you how it feels to not know where she is, to not know what happened. There's just no words. It's a nightmare.
Yeah, the only thing, I don't have any children. I had a brother that passed away in 1986, but I don't have any children or anything like that. But I have pets, and I've had some, and I'm just talking about a pet here. Like, it runs away. You can't find it, and you get into this panic mode. Now, if it was a person now, like my child or something like that, I think it would be 1,000 times worse than that. It would just be like absolutely like freaking out. I remember when I first met you, like on the 24th. So that's when nobody has a clue what's really even going on, and you seem really like kind of mellow, but I guess it was sort of like you were in shock. You weren't, I just mumbled through that whole thing there.
I was so in shock and traumatized that honestly I have a hard time even remembering those 5 days that we were at the school. I just, the trauma is just, I can't even explain it to you. There's no other feeling in the world like it when your child goes missing.
What do you mean? He said he was a remote viewer last night. What are you talking about, everybody? Yeah, it's a lady, okay? We don't do remote viewing on here, any of that crap. Psychics, and if you're on here for the first time watching, and you're one of the people that believes in psychics solving crimes on a regular basis, like they're just really useful, then go do something else, okay? We like to just get real facts here, and not. Now, if it turns out that person's right, it wasn't because they viewed it. It just they got purely lucky. Now, here's another thing. They'll probably go to about 16 other pages, and say a whole bunch of other things, and then eventually they'll be right on one of them, and then they'll focus there. Look, everybody, I'm a hero. It's complete crap, everybody. Complete crap. Yeah.
Just traumatized and in shock. And it took me a couple of weeks to kind of snap out of that shocked and get really busy trying to find her, get really busy clearing my head and getting the information and the story and the timeline and, retracing her steps and, just getting busy trying to find her,
Yeah, one thing you told me yesterday that you should be really proud of is that you were saying that you were normally you're kind of, look up what remote viewer is, okay? You don't need to type it in because then somebody has to answer. Just go read about it. You just type in remote viewer on Google and you get the answer. Normally you're kind of reserve and kind of keep to yourself, but that during this you've had to step forward to be a voice, and then you've almost become a different person.
Well, I am her face until she's back. I am her representative. I have to be, I have to talk for her. I have to speak for her. I have to, everything for her. And, normally I am a pretty quiet, reserved person. With my jobs, I wait tables and I cut hair. So I have to talk to people all day long. And honestly, I'm pretty outside of work. I like my quiet time and, I don't really care to talk on the phone. I'll text a little bit, but, I'm pretty kind of keep to myself, and I'm just I'm a mom and I just do stuff with my kids and, I work a lot. So, but yeah, this has really I've had to step outside of, who I am as a person and kind of become, very social and talk to many people, all walks of life, and it's just something I have to do. I have to be here until she's home.
Yeah, I mean, so of course, working you're a bartender, is that right?
I wait tables, but we do our own bartending. So
right. So I mean, obviously, you have to be able to talk to people and cutting hair. I mean, my God, you guys are like psychologists. Hey, hold on a second. Hey, why did you unhide reason? I hid reason. I wanted to. Okay, I don't want a remote viewer in the chat acting like they actually know something. Okay. So how do I reblock that? Hold on. God. Okay, now they're back hidden again. Okay. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry if you like that person, but I don't want them on here. And cutting hair, I mean, my God, you guys are like psychologists, really. There should be an extra fee that we pay because we always talk about everything about our lives. But but it was on your own time that you've had to now be social during times where you normally wouldn't have been. So that must have been a pretty big shift there.
It is. I get anxiety too sometimes myself, like, being around a lot of people and having to talk to people that I don't know. It does make me very anxious, and sometimes I don't, hopefully I'm not socially awkward, but sometimes I feel like I am because,
Yeah. Well, I know I am. I always tell people on my channel my story where there was a waitress at a bar, and I thought she was kind of cute. This was like 20 years ago or something, or 15 years ago. And I said, "Hey," she sat down, and I said, "Your eyes look like a lizard." Okay, but I meant to say that they looked exotic, right? So it didn't really work out well. So I'm not really smooth or anything. I'm not a
right.
What do you call it? Yeah, I don't know if that's socially
smooth
awkward. Yeah, well, wasn't good at it. So let's see. What else we got? I was going to ask, well, people wanted to know what you knew about Ben's personality type. Like, you think he'd be a jealous type or anything like that?
I really didn't know Ben very well. I met him a few times. The last encounter I had with him actually wasn't allowing him over the house over to our house because Allyson had mentioned that he had warrants out for his arrest, and I was like, okay, and I don't really want somebody like that at my house, so I'm sorry. I don't want, and she, normally she wouldn't be with somebody like that. I really don't know what she saw in him, but she just said he loved her and treated her really good, and she knew him from high school, and she wanted him to get help, and she could see him having a great life, if he could just clean up his life. So anyway, so I wasn't allowing him in the house. Well, one day I come home from work, and I came home early, and he was here, and I snapped. I did. And, I told him, get out of my house. Like, I don't want you here. You have a warrant for your arrest. I don't allow people like that in my home. And then I looked at him straight in the eyes, and I said, you know what? Like, be a man. Don't take her down with you. I know what you're up to. I know the things that you're into right now. And, you should get some help. There's people that care about you and love you. Like, you've got a family, you've got people that would support you. Like, why can't you just stop, And I said, don't take her down with you. Be a man. She's a good...
Okay, hold on a second. See, this part's kind of interesting because it shows that, he was over at the house and they knew that, Allyson loved Ben. So she was sort of blinded by that. And Misty was really being protective. Like, hey, you cannot be here until you get this stuff figured out. And by the way, Claudia, don't worry about it. There's a lot of stuff. I'm sure you probably went up to read the comments, and then you hit the button on accident to unhide. Okay, so here we go.
She's a good girl, and he said, I tried. I'm trying to tell her not to, be around me, and I'm like, well, then what are you doing in my house? Wow, and then wow. After I snapped on him, I tried to.
See, isn't that weird? She said, why don't you do the right thing and don't drag her down with you? Instead of him saying, I'm really trying to change and be better, he said, yeah, I've told her not to be with me. Well, then she's like, well, what are you doing here then? I mean, if you're not good for her, then why in the hell are you here at all? I mean, like, she's actually, she's a good mom. And you should see, I can't really explain it to you, but like, if she was one of the really whiny, crying moms that sits in the corner and everybody else is doing stuff, a lot of stuff wouldn't be getting done. When she was over at that command center, she was just running the show, like telling everybody, okay, you got the T-shirts, you got this, you got that, you got this one. If you put signs up over here, here's the stapler for that. She was running everything, okay? So she's had to sort of step into this role of what she's doing that's absolutely alien to her. And she's kicking ass. I mean, it's amazing.
Just kind of talk with them, hey, why don't you get some help? And, I even offered offered him, because she was already living here, maybe if you, go get some help and some treatment, maybe we could help you out, while you get on your feet after that, I consider myself a very loving, generous person, and I like to help people, and my daughter likes to help people. That's why I totally can just see, I could see why maybe she thought she could help him, or I don't know.
Well, it's kind of a weird answer to say, yeah, I told her not to be with me. Well, then, but you could,
no.
I think she didn't understand what I was saying. I was actually referring to the answer. I wasn't clear enough. I'm talking about what Ben said.
I just was like, okay, well, you're here.
I know. Maybe she did, because she had the same
But,
answer.
Other than that, I don't really know him very well. She never mentioned that. She only said, he treats me very well. He loves me. I have never felt so loved with somebody. And I said, okay, I understand that. And, but he's not really doing anything with his life, and.
Yeah, and he hasn't really helped out here either. Look at this, man.
Right, I mean, and I'm not judging him. I don't judge him. We've all had, I have had, things in my life that I'm not proud of, in
Who
the
hasn't?
past. I used to be a bad girl when I was younger, and now I live my life with honesty and integrity, and I work very hard, and I've always tried to teach that to the kids, that you work hard for what you have, and just be a good person and always do the right thing.
Right. Now you guys are trying to you get detectives. Not detectives, but private investigators, and
right.
And there's money that you guys need for the scent dogs, I guess, for their time out there.
So the woman that comes out with her dogs, we do have to compensate her sometimes. Sometimes she doesn't charge us, which is very nice. I get it. It's her job, and she needs to be compensated sometimes. Right now, we are doing some fundraisers, and all the money that we get goes to the search and rescue efforts, which is getting a private investigator. We haven't hired one yet, but if the Washington County, if they don't find anything out and nothing happens, we're 5 weeks in, 5 weeks today, she's been missing, I need to see something happen, otherwise I have to hire a private investigator, that's just what I have to do. And I do have their blessing, but they wanted me to wait a little bit till they've exhausted everything they could do. So we're doing these fundraisers, and what happens is that so we're sponsored by the Kyron Horman Foundation. I'm friends with Kane. He was introduced to me shortly after Allyson went missing, and he's really helped me through the emotional side of things. He's really helped me with what do I do next? How do I just many aspects of this nightmare. He's really helped guide me, and been just a good support person. Anyway, his foundation, the Kyron Horman Foundation, sponsors us. They've helped us pay for things like awareness, T-shirts, posters, along with the emotional support. So what will happen is that the money that we receive will go into their foundation, and then they will pay our bills for us. They'll pay for the awareness. They'll pay, out of that money, they'll pay for the private investigator. So,
it's awesome.
I've been accused of, taking people's money, and I'm not taking anybody's money. A couple of my friends set up a GoFundMe account. I didn't ask them to do that. It was very nice of them to do. And yes, a lot of people donated money, and I thank them to the depths of my soul. And do you know what I did with that money? I took a tiny bit of it, paid 2 bills, and the rest of it is sitting in the reward fund for my daughter.
Yeah. And the thing is you really don't owe anybody an explanation at all for that at all, because somebody else did it, and they were just trying to help you out. And that's one of the problems, though, that there are a lot of people that they'll create a GoFundMe really quick for somebody, and they're not official, and then that creates a buzz by the sort of really skeptical type people, and then it leads to accusations. I've seen it hundreds of times. It's amazing.
The money that was donated to me was for me. It was to pay bills. That's exactly what it was for.
Yeah.
And, and I paid a couple bills, and I put most of it towards the reward fund. I want any money that's donated to me goes right to my daughter.
Right.
And any money that's donated through the fundraisers goes through the Kyron Horman Foundation. I don't want to deal with money. I'm not smart with stuff like that. I mean, not that I'm not smart. I don't want to, I just want them. I want people's money to go into that account, and they pay the bills. And I just, I just don't want to be, I don't want to be accused of being that type of person, because I'm absolutely not. I work hard. I work 2 jobs. I pay my own bills. I always have. I don't need people's money for myself. What I do need is, if people want to donate, it's for my daughter. It's for her. It's to find her. It's to find answers. I don't have that kind of money.
And where can people donate to that?
So, you can donate through to the Kyron Horman Foundation. You just put that it's for the Allyson awareness. And I'll be speaking with Kane later about making sure, because I know you said
the
you were
PayPal
trying
link.
to donate it. It didn't work. So I'll talk to him and make sure that we get that,
Well, on the
straight
28th,
away.
I'm going to be doing donations to different charities, and I was going to donate to yours. Remember that, everybody? Your fund as well. So I just I was checking the link just to see if it would accept PayPal, and it actually goes straight to PayPal, but it said the link was broken or something.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Gray, for that. I really appreciate it, and it's going. All the money is going for a good cause. It's I need help finding her. I need all the help I can get, and she's so worth it. She's so worth it.
Yeah.
She's
she's
an incredible woman, and you would just love her. You would love her. When you meet her, you're just going to love her. And I can't wait to bring her home, and so I can say, look, honey, look at all the people that love you.
That'd be amazing.
Look at all these strangers that rallied around our family to help find you. Thousands of people just love her and have given their time, their energy, their, just so much. People have given, people that we know and people that we don't know. I mean, I'm sitting here in the darkest days of my life, but the light I see is the love and compassion of people, and that's what carries me. That's what, it lifts me up every day when I feel like literally dying.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I've seen the large numbers of people helping you. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it, and it's
So let me ask you something. Is there anything else that you remember that we missed?
Everything that we talked about is all I know. I don't have much more information. I wish I did. Maybe we would, maybe we wouldn't be sitting here on the phone talking about this if I had more information. I just don't,
Yeah.
But I'm looking for answers, and I'm working really hard to find them.
Well, I know you are. And I actually was honored to meet you. I felt like, wow. Just through our conversation, I realized how hard you're working and the amount of time you're putting into it. And not only that, then you still have to do your regular work and, keep the bills paid, right? I mean, so.
Right. Yeah. And, and I also have a son, Allison's brother, Blake, I have to be there for him too. He's 22. He works at a restaurant. He's a little cook there. And then, he also goes to school, he's in college right now. So
how's he doing?
And that's how's he doing?
Yeah. I mean,
he's very sad. Allison's his best friend, they're extremely close, and, he's having a hard time with it. He wants us to keep things very normal around the house because, he just doesn't know how to deal with those types of emotions. Who does know? They don't give you a manual or a instruction booklet on how to act and how to feel when somebody goes missing, and what do? Do you know how
many times I've said that exact same thing? Because everybody judges, oh my God, look at that. Look at the way he's looking there. His eyes, he's over there looking at that, and it's like, hey, everybody's different, There are some similarities sometimes, but it's amazing how people judge just based off of little tiny things, like they're all experts.
Oh, yeah. I've heard, I'm too, like, oh, I don't cry enough. I don't, I'm not emotional enough. But you know what the thing is that I am emotional, but it's by myself,
Right.
I don't have time to be falling to pieces. I need to find her. There's not time for that. I've had to set my feelings aside so I can stay really busy finding her.
Yeah.
And her dad's the same way, He sets his emotions aside as well. He has to find his daughter.
Look, I'll just say right now, like when I went and saw the sort of the command center, where you guys all met by the McDonald's there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, if you were sitting there in the corner crying the whole time and everybody was consoling you, it'd be hard to get anything done. You were like, boom, boom, boom. Okay, you do this, here's that, and this and that.
Yeah.
You were getting stuff done. Okay, and that's a better way to be. I know some people can't help it to get too emotional like that, but I can tell you're emotional, but at the same time, you got to get something done. So I think it was great how you are.
Well, thank you.
So.
Thank you. I'm trying really hard, and it's not even about my feelings. It's not about me. It's about her.
Right.
Everybody has to remember that no matter how you may feel about me or what you think, whatever, it's about her. She's missing. She's a human being. She's a very loved and loving, child of God, and she's missing.
Exactly. Yeah, and that the reason I'm talking about you though right now is just so what did Caroline X Liz do? Was that an accident? Her being timed out like that? Okay, that was an accident by Les Clark. How are you guys doing that accidentally so often? I mean, I can only blame accidentally clicking things so much. I just don't understand how it's happening, because you have to click on the 3 dots and then you click on one of the choices. You know what I mean? I mean, I get it's an accident, but I'm trying to figure out how it's happened so much. Anyways, here we go. People understand the reality of it instead of doing, because like you were saying earlier, that people focus in on, well, hey, maybe the mom did. Come on, everybody, just relax. Okay. Oh, really? Like, what's it look like on a phone? There's only about 5 minutes left of this. 3 minutes and 22 seconds. But I know shit happens, but there's a lot of shit on the floor. I mean, it's like every night there's like 4 or 5 people deleted, and so I just want to know what happens on a phone where it makes it easy to do. Oh, I don't. You know what? I've never watched a video on my cell phone yet, so I have no clue how that works. So I believe all of you. I know it's an accident. I just want to know how it's happening, because it's weird. Seems like there's got to be a way we can avoid it. People understand the reality of it instead of doing, because like you were saying earlier, that people focus in on, well, hey, maybe the mom did. Come on, everybody, just relax. Okay.
Do people not think that if I had something to do with it, the police wouldn't be bashing in my door? I would be under. I mean, honestly, I don't understand where where their heads are at.
Well, they don't have brains. Well, no, the reality is they don't have brains, because the whole story has nothing to do with you in it. It's just like they're over there in North Plains, and they're walking around. Your name's never mentioned. You're just not part of it. She texted you a couple times.
Yeah.
To, like every kid does with their mom, like, hey, I'm over here. That's it.
Yeah.
So, I always call those people rodeo clowns. Okay, and that's why, I'll have I actually, like, a lot of people care a lot about their subscriber numbers, and I'll actually have purge nights where I say, if you think this, unsubscribe. If you think this, get the hell out of here. If you think, like the Sandy Hook event, you think that's fake, and then all of a sudden my numbers drop a couple, but then they go up more, because people like real thinkers, not the conspiracy theory types. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, listen, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know it was quite a bit longer than we were talking about, but I think you were able to get out as much information, everything that we could possibly know. You've let us know. Are the police really actively? Are you aware that they're really working hard right now on this?
They are. They're they are working very hard. They're coming up kind of empty-handed with something, with where she is, but I know that they're investigating. I know they're talking to people. I know they're knocking on doors. I know this is their top priority case in Washington County. I know that they're working hard, and I have faith in them, and I trust them.
Yeah. And they definitely have a lot more information.
So much they can do.
And they have a lot more knowledge and information. Their timeline is probably literally just really tight, and they've got it really nailed down, but they just can't get the one answer. Where is Allyson?
Right, and I don't know what they have for timeline. Like I said, they don't tell me it. They don't tell me anything. They can't tell me.
Right.
It's just the way, it's the law and it's the investigation, and I am not privy to that information. I wish I was.
I know.
I'm just not.
Right. And a lot of times, a lot of stuff, I always say, God, I wish I could have this, but in reality, there's no need for me to actually know the answer to some of the questions that I look for. It'd be cool to know because, curious minds want to know answers, but at the same time, they know that we don't need it. And a lot of times they like to preserve information that only somebody else might know or something like that.
Right, yeah.
But anyways, here I went rambling on again, but I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me and the rest of we call ourselves the Freak family on my channel.
Okay.
So
yeah, no problem. And can I just say one last thing?
All right, sure.
If somebody knows where she is, if somebody has information on where she is.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, this isn't a live call right now. I recorded this earlier, but that is the call that you're listening to.
On where she is. I beg you, I'm pleading with you to please help our...
I'm going to rewind it.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, no problem. And can I just say one last thing?
Sure.
If somebody knows where she is, if somebody has information on where she is, I beg you, I'm pleading with you to please help our family find some peace and just tell us where she is. I cannot imagine living the rest of my life without any answers. I cannot imagine having any joy in my life without my joy. Her name is Allyson Joy Watterson. She's my joy, and I can't imagine having any without her here and not knowing what happened to her,
Yeah. Well, that was well said there. So anybody out there, if you know anything at all, where would they contact? What would they go to the Facebook page, or what do you want them to do?
Yeah, so you could call the tip line. It's 503-846-2700, or just private message me. I have a reward. I have my own personal reward. It's $5,000. If you lead me to my daughter, I'm going to pay you. I'm not worried about the law enforcement side of it. I want my daughter. I want to know where she is. My reward is different than theirs. And they have one, but theirs is about arrest and conviction.
And yours is Misty Watterson. Misty Watterson on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so somebody out there, please help this family find Allyson Watterson. And again, thank you, Misty, for calling and describing what you know and telling us what you think about your daughter's disappearance.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah. Crazy, huh? I mean, that is just... It's wild. So there you go, everybody. That was the interview. I know I'm not the greatest interview in the world, but I just try to have like a conversation with people instead of trying to act like, well, yes, if you could please tell me about your, it just sort of doesn't work for me that way. I had questions written out, but I'd like to just glance up at them and then just have a conversation like there's just two people sitting around talking. But yeah, it's wild, the story. The the part that I'm most interested in is the part where it is a fact that they went to somebody's house and got used their phone. First, they didn't want to use their phone. They said that they got in a car accident for some reason. And then they wanted to use the phone, but to get a ride. But the person inside said, well, you want to call the police? And they go, no, we'll leave. And they said, no, go ahead. You can use the phone. And the lady stood there and listened, and they called their grandmother. He called his grandmother, Ben did, to come pick him up. And the lady at the house also observed that Allyson was wearing the shoes of Ben. In some ways it sort of makes him look a little gentlemanly, like she didn't have her shoes, so she allowed her to wear his, right? And he was walking around in socks on, okay? But none of the other stuff fits that persona. It's bizarre, right? So they they did call the grandmother, and then the grandmother shows up out there, and and the lady at the house gave him some what do you call those? Like sandals, not sandals, but the things you wear around your house when you're hell, slippers for God, man, I couldn't remember. Give him slippers, and apparently he left with the slippers on. And then when the grandmother shows up, she's actually literally driving around during this time frame, and not one. And they saw her, but he says, "Oh my God, I was scared. I was scared to go to her." Well, how come? Why were you scared to go to her? Was there somebody looking for you guys? Perhaps. Maybe you stole the car from somebody you shouldn't have stolen the car from. Is that a possibility? I mean, because the thing is I just thought of that just now. Right? You stole this vehicle, and it must have been out in that area, because that's where you were. So you stole somebody's, like a local vehicle, and there's a lot of crazy people that live out there. But anyways, it seems like he didn't want to go to the grandmother's vehicle, almost like he'd already, in my opinion, it feels like he already did something, and he couldn't go to the car without having Allyson with him. I hope that's not the case, because there are indications that she was still with him later, apparently, because when the car was driving by and I don't know when that was, though. How far had they walked when he claims to have seen the grandmother? That almost seems like a reality that he did see her, because he says, "Oh yeah, I saw her driving there," and that means he must have known that she literally did show up out there. And then he says they walked through the woods and then they got separated. But then he says, "Well, I left her at those two houses right here." See, there's these two houses right here. So she was left right in here. And apparently he slept in some blackberry bushes right around here. Then he got cold in the middle of the night and walked up here and slept in a truck right here without Allyson, who was left right around here. It's just right there. Then she goes, the next morning he gets driven home. I mean, didn't he? Here's the weird part, right? Didn't he say, "Hold on a second, let me go check over by those houses"? Why didn't he say that? Right? So when the guy finds him sleeping in his car and says, "Hey, who are you?" And he says, he came up with some crazy thing about a bonfire, and then they left me or something. It's like this third lie on the walk. Why didn't he first say, "Yo, I'd love a ride. Can you give me a ride here in just a few minutes? Let me go check over here." Nothing. He just gets a ride home. And then 4 hours later, after he's home, his dad comes back home from his night shift. And then they head back out there. They get there at 12:30. And then by 5:30, that's when the father called authorities to say there was a missing person. So there was 5 hours of missing time right there. I don't know what that means, Amanda. No idea what that means. I don't know what that means at all. We're going to have to do a better sentence than that. What does that mean? I'm going to saw this coming week. What does that mean? God, a lot of crazy people on here sometimes. It's weird. I don't know what that means. Oh, I thought you were talking about you're going to sue me. Well, you can sub whenever you want. You just click the button. I thought you were saying you're going to sue me. It's like, what do you mean you're going to sue me? You're going to sue me this week? What did I do? Yeah, it's pretty easy to sub. If you don't want to, you can sub by just pressing the button. You don't have to announce that you're going to sub this week. And either way, it doesn't, it is what it is. Yeah, the whole scenario doesn't make sense. That's what me and her were talking about. We talked after the show, too. I called her back up again and asked a couple questions, but yeah, and there is, let's see, what have we got? I think this thing's broken now, this stupid camera. Oh, man, there we go. I don't know if it's just not going to work. Does that work? I don't know. It doesn't really work. So it's a weird case, okay? To me, anyways. Oh, is that Amanda? Oh, I know who Amanda. Oh, you changed your name, so now you're not Amanda Belg, are you? Amanda Belg. I was wondering, you just don't like me saying, you can't change it. I've said your name a million times if that's you. I don't know what Amanda Belg looks like, so that could be you. But see, the problem is that's one of the names I say all the time. Oh, you were none of your business. Okay, well now there's an Amanda Belg too. I was at this one right here. This is where I flew the drone right here. Oh wait, never mind. I've already left the screen. I'm going to end the show. But thank you to Crystal, aka Beaver Gaming Sub, and Lanky Tor prior to the show doing super chats. Other than that, let's see, we got a donation night on the 28th. Oh, you were none of your business. Well, now there's going to be an Amanda B and an Amanda Belg. It's going to get confusing. Oh, there you are. Yeah, see, there's the real. That's the real Amanda B right there. Amanda Belg. Okay. No, that's me. You're... Oh, man, that's hilarious. Yeah, maybe. I mean, the thing is, there's a million different things that are possible. Well, nobody knows anything more than anybody else, Crystal, aka Beaver Games. It's just everybody just has an opinion. Okay? Just go with the facts in the case and think about it and work with that. Don't sort of have this, I guess it's possible the people that live in these homes did something because she was left there and then they acted like they were really helpful that first day, and then the second day they weren't helpful at all. Okay? That's a reality. I was there. Okay? So I can tell you that I flew my drone right here, and these guys were like, yeah, go ahead. No problem. And then I walked right here the next day, and they're like, hey, you gotta get the hell out of here. They were really nervous about, they just wanted me to get the hell out of there. Then the sheriff, or I think maybe one of the head searcher people shows up, talks to him for a little bit there. I'm packing up my crap, and then I get the hell out of there. So who knows? Yeah, I don't get, there's no ad revenue on these videos. Very rarely do they get monetized. So, I take a lot of time to, set up these interviews and do the interviews. Yeah, well, after the show's over, it doesn't happen. Hey, thanks, Amanda Bell! Now we're getting there. Yeah. There's a lot of scenarios, but the reality of it, the most likely scenario
Thanks, Gray. Great interview.
Thank you. Amanda Bell. The most likely scenario in reality is that Ben did something to her in a sort of this window of time. And then I actually think it's possible, I'm just bring this out there. Yeah, I mentioned that, Raven, at the beginning of the show. You'll have to go back and watch that. I think it's most likely that Ben had something to do with it, and then it's possible that his father helped cover it up. Okay, I'm just saying that is it's speculation. I'm not saying that's a fact, but I'm just saying that it just seems so unlikely. I don't even care. Look, it's not like they made the phone call. He was lucid enough to make that phone call to get his grandmother. So it wasn't like they were just so wasted and didn't know what they were doing. And then are we going to really think that he started smoking up, like doing heroin or any shit like that on just in the little time he was going to be waiting for his grandmother? I don't know about that. I think what might have happened was that Allyson just started getting really pissed at the whole situation. Something happened. She was probably like, I'm going to leave you. Forget it, man. Forget it. I'm out of here. Who knows? And then he did something in that little bit of time, and that's why he's scared to go out to the vehicle when the grandmother drove by. And then he couldn't just go home right away because there needed to be a different story. Because people would say, well, where's Allyson? So then he gets a ride home the next day, kind of waits for the dad to get home because dad knows best. He knows what I can do here. Then he drives him all the way back out there, and they do something. And then he says, hey, son, you're going to have to bite the bullet on the stolen vehicle, though, okay? All right. I'm calling them right now. Okay, great. That makes some sense, but I have to admit that's just total speculation. It could be something else, that they really did get in a fight, and he said, well, fine, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go sleep. I mean, it's weird that he slept in blackberry bushes. So it seems like maybe he did do drugs later after that. But why were they scared to get into the vehicle? Okay, ask yourself that question. Why were they scared to get into grandmother's vehicle? Him. They called and said, hey, can you give us a ride? And just minutes later, literally within, she said it was around noon-ish. So literally a half hour or so, within an hour of the phone call made, hour and 15 minutes, they're all of a sudden, they are scared to get into that vehicle. That doesn't make any sense, does it? Yeah, he slept in the blackberry bushes. And then he gets up in the middle of the night, apparently because he's cold. And he goes and sleeps in... So it does seem like at that point he's on some sort of drugs at that point. Like sometime in the evening he was on drugs. Now I guess it is possible that after he called, if you look at the time frame here... Let's see. So 11:05 is when the phone call... Well, about 10... I'm going to say it's about 10:45. And then the mail person or whatever, the delivery person who was driving by said they saw them at that house at around 11:05. And then drove by him again on the road right here at 11:25. Well, apparently they were probably walking down the street right here waiting for the grandmother to drive by, and they would have gotten into the vehicle. But maybe it took a little bit longer, and they kept walking, and then something happened where they exited the road. It's just really crazy, because look at, from right here where they were spotted at 11:25, and then the grandmother's driving around noon, they probably could have maybe walked to this area, but somehow something happened in that 35-minute window. Yeah, good night, Paisley Dreams. Or who's ever leaving. I don't know who's leaving. Is it Dottie O? Are you leaving? Well, I think he did see it, because why would he even say that he... I mean, I don't even know if he knew that she really got out there. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a possibility. I mean, that did cross my mind, but I sort of ruled it out like, well, why would he even know that it was there if he didn't see it? And what the interesting thing is he really did call his grandmother from that house to get a ride. That really happened. It was witnessed, and then the grandmother's car is seen on surveillance driving around. So some of the stuff that he says is real. And then she even said, oh yeah, I left her at that house. Well, the dogs hit on that house. I don't even remember who Alexander Holden is. Don't know who that is. I can't remember who that was. But we're talking about this case right now. Yeah, he told a whole bunch of different stories to different people. He told where he made the first phone call. He said, oh yeah, we got in a car accident. Then he tells the man who found him in his truck that he was at a bonfire and his friends left him. And then he tells Misty that they were walking around and then got in the woods and got separated. So 3 different stories right there. Yeah, no problem. Crime Canary. Yeah, that's what that's what I was saying. It's possible that they did drugs in the time, but why would you do that knowing your grandmother's going to pick you up? I guess if you're that addicted, you just can't help yourself. And then maybe you could throw that in as a scenario. Maybe he started doing drugs when the grandmother was going to show up, and Allison's like, what are you doing? Your grandmother's going to be here. And he goes, forget. She goes, I'm done. And then he gets really pissed off. Something happens. You know? No, well, I don't know about that, Debbie, because when they made the phone call, Allyson had mud on her face and they were all disheveled. And then when Ben got home, the father was like, you know, he had crap all over his shoes and everything. His mom threw away the shoes. You know, they were dirty. How did she get mud on her face if she just didn't have shoes on? Maybe they didn't really care about the slippers. I mean, they're just slippers, you know. She was like, what are these? Thanks, Patricia M. Look at that little pair bowing down. Wait, is Amanda B the psychic again? the remote viewer? Oh boy. Came back on a different name, is that right? Okay, good. Then how do you know he pushed her? You said he pushed her. Yeah, mud on your face. Big disgrace. That's somehow she had mud on her face. Well, I know who the person's name was Reason, but maybe they came back with a different name. I know that person. Oh, that's right. It was none of your business. Okay. Man, you're throwing me off, Amanda. You got to go back to none of your business. That was a cool name. I like that one. Well, they were still hanging out together, walking around together. And she allowed him to wear his shoes. And I mean, you got to admit that that's a little strange, right? Him letting her wear his shoes is sort of outside what you would think he would do. That's kind of gentlemanly, right? Just be honest. That's what that is, right? It's like, wow, she didn't have shoes on, so he took his shoes off, and I was like, that's okay, Amanda. You do whatever you want. I was just goofing around. So that it's weird that he seemed to care enough to take his shoes off and let her wear his shoes. And then he just had socks on while walking around and showing up to that house. Then the lady said, well, gosh, here's some slippers you can at least wear. Then they went walking away wearing the slippers down the street. And that's when the delivery person saw them. And he also called to get help. But something happened between like 11:25 and 12 that just changed everything. Because 12 was when the grandmother's driving up the road. Why didn't they just keep walking down the road? Why did they leave the road? Now, was there somebody that drove by and said, hey, there you are, and they like skidded to a stop, and they went bolting off into the woods somehow, and then later saw their grandmother but were too scared to go back out because those same people might be driving by? Is that a possibility? Sure. It's not that complicated where you need a timeline. It's all pretty. It's a real short little range there. Starts at 10:30 on the 22nd a.m. I know. How do you just lose shoes? Was the? You know, I'm actually starting to think a little bit more. Hey, thanks, Kimber. I'm starting to think a little bit more about who did he steal that car from? Because that sort of would fill in some of the gaps, right? Did he steal the car from where he was, and they left in a hurry and just got into the car and drove away really quick? But it was actually owned by... What if it was owned by the people he was
Hi, Gray.
with?
You rock.
And he just stole it really quick, and they just ran into the car. He's like, we gotta go now. And they get in there, and then it sort of breaks down at some point. I don't know why it would just break down, but yeah. So there could be something like that too. So there, like you guys say, there's a lot of different scenarios. But at the same time, like, what happened to Allyson? Like, how did they get separated? Why Why was Ben able to sleep comfortably in a pickup truck and Allyson wasn't able to? Does that make any sense to anybody? Yeah. Alright, hold on, I gotta get some Gatorade now. Yeah, it'd be cool to talk to Allyson's friends. I actually would rather speak to some of Ben's acquaintances, to be honest with you. Oh, but if you're still out there, Raven, I don't think I don't have my channel set up where you can rewind it. But yeah, I did. I went over Kobe Bryant at the beginning. It's horrible. I explained why I love the guy and I hated the guy at the same time because he always, kicked ass on my team. Okay. Yeah, here's the thing. Don't get overly complex with imagination. Right? Like if you put too many things in there, then the likelihood of it being true are really low. The thing is that place is filled with not really great people. And there could have been somebody driving around, but look at the part that's really sort of in my opinion, the sort of the nexus part, the wild, it's just that they didn't take the ride from the grandmother. He says he was scared too. What was that? That's the answer to the question. Right there. Whatever the answer of what he was scared about, if that's true, which I think it could be, because he never answered why he was scared. I think the answer to that question might be the actual answer to the case. That's where it all lies, right there, in my opinion. Because it'll either lead to two things. One, that he did something to Allyson in that sort of 30-minute window when the grandmother was showing up driving around. Or somebody was chasing them, maybe perhaps related to the stolen vehicle, and they were too scared to be back out on the main road and were sort of hiding in the woods behind properties, moving along, eventually making it to the area where those two houses are in this area, and they, maybe they get in a fight and she's like, why do you keep doing this to me? Why didn't he goes, well, screw you, and they literally get separated somehow. But then that would be if she was still alive. That would be the other scenario, the first one that I mentioned. The second one, where it was an actual vehicle that they were scared of, well, where is Allyson then? Where is she? Yeah, so those are two scenarios. I mean, I guess it's possible somehow that she wandered off somewhere. I just think they would have found her by now if she was in the area exposed to the elements, like if she had accidentally, something had happened to her in the woods. I think they would have found her. Yeah, like they got separated, but they kind of didn't, right? Because look at Ben says he separated with her right here at these two houses. And then he said he slept in some blackberry bushes that was right here, and then he slept in a car right there. So I guess it's possible at that point she went wandering down the road, and that's the nightmare scenario in terms of solving this case would be, well, God, you know what's interesting is law enforcement has all that surveillance footage of the grandmother driving. So wouldn't it have picked up every other car as well driving down that road? And if so, were they able to find another vehicle that was going up and down looking for somebody? That would be interesting. Yeah, I don't know about that. A stranger accidentally hit her, then took her body? Come on, jeez. Man, I've heard of conspiracy theories, but we did think of that maybe in the CDC worker guy, Timothy Cunningham. Like maybe somebody got hit. Well, we didn't say that though. We thought he could have been hit by a car and then flown into one of these ditches that are there, and he just hasn't been found yet. Turns out he committed suicide, which is what we ultimately came up with. Of course, that wasn't believed by the conspiracy wackos out there, so. Yeah, near a fire pit or something. I don't know. And who are the two friends? Wouldn't it be weird if people at this that live here are involved somehow, that live right here? Maybe there was a bonfire. There's two people that live there. Bonfire with two friends. There really are a whole bunch of scenarios at this point. The most likely one, though, involves Ben doing something. I would give that like 35%, 25%, or maybe 10% somebody's looking for them. God, hell, I don't even know. I can't keep giving percentages at this point. Well, I messaged Misty. Maybe she can give me the... I think she's probably gone to bed by now. Yeah, it's a long time to be missing. The only hope you can come up with is that somebody kidnapped her and has her held somewhere. Which, out in that area, that could be a possibility. I wouldn't say it's likely, but, it is somewhat remote, Like if you pan out, there's houses dotted every once, all over the place, really, but they're not right next to each other. And then there's some areas when you start getting out here that really are just forest with roads going through there, but it's really you could easily get lost out here, but this is far away from there. But look, even out here there's homes every once in a while. Well, I'm sure the police have questioned the friends. The thing is Ben could be referring to two other friends. I mean, who knows what friends he was talking about when he said to the person that owned the truck that he slept in that he was at a bonfire with two friends and his girlfriend, and They left him. Or maybe you left them. What if he left Allyson at a bonfire? I don't even know. The bonfire story sounds totally bogus, to be honest. Unless there's any reality to that story. Nah. Those aren't really stories, though, Wally. Those are just, like, yeah. I think he's involved. Regardless of anything, Ben has some responsibility in her being missing right now. We know that for sure, 100%. Because he lost track of her. That would be the best scenario for him, that he just merely lost track of her. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff missing, but there's a lot of stuff that we know that makes the story really confusing. Yeah, that he gets the truck, and he stole the truck on. I mean, she even said, Misty did, that it was stolen on that Saturday. Let's see, was it Saturday or was it Sunday? Yeah, Saturday or Sunday morning. And so who'd they steal the truck from? They were up in North Plains. And I think they got dropped off out there in North Plains. So they had no vehicles. So that means they stole the truck from somebody local. And then you ask yourself, well, how did he steal a truck without the keys? Well, how did he get the keys? Well, it might have been somebody's house that he was at that had the truck. And they're like, let's get the hell out of here, and took the truck. And that's why she doesn't have her socks. That's why her shoes. She lost her shoes because they were just hanging out, and then boom, they get the hell out of there. I think it was kind of like maybe on a whim, to be honest with you. I think that's why she doesn't have her shoes, and they almost seem like they had nothing at all. Yes, we did. We played it earlier, Melanie. Yeah, he went back with his dad. See, that's where the cover-up could have happened, if there is a cover-up. I mean, 5 hours they're walking around doing something. Now, what they need to do is look at those surveillance tapes again, see if they can find the dad showing up, and then did they leave an area for longer and then come back at a certain point? Are there any witnesses to that? That's what they need to do, is find some witnesses to seeing them looking around searching. One of the ladies I talked to, it was crazy. She actually, after she watched my video, she was over at the command center, and she said, "Oh yeah, I watched your video." And I walked down, and she walked all around these houses right here, and I was like, "You are crazy." I don't know. I think Darrow's just doing her own thing. I don't have any idea. I don't think the anxiety has anything to do with her not being around right now. Because if it was something like that, we'd know where she was. Ben would be a lot more helpful. Instead, she's completely vanished off the face of the earth from that area. Right, I don't do the rewind because when you do the rewind feature, there's like a 30-second, sometimes even longer gap between what I'm doing and the comments, and I can't stand that shit. Right now there's like 3 seconds. A drone fight? What do you mean? Right. They were a lot more helpful that first day when they were on their SUVs. I actually didn't detect anything that day. Like, they seemed as if they were trying to hide anything. I just thought it was very strange that the next day when I go back out there, they're all worried about me being on their property a few feet. I mean, wouldn't you be more worried about maybe trying to find a missing girl that's out there and was last seen on your property? Yeah, the boyfriend does have a criminal history. Mostly drug stuff. Yes. Yeah, we went over that earlier. Yes, she already probably knew the answer to that, Amanda. That's why she said, did you see it yet? I actually played an entire video where you see Chad and Lori Daybell walking around on a video with a reporter that just kept badgering them, which was good in this case, over and over again, and they wouldn't answer any questions at all. Yeah, it could be aliens too, Jesse. We just don't know at this point. Yeah, it could have actually been a Brussels sprouts grower also. We don't know if they got the what car they didn't wreck a car at all, Barbara. That's bogus. They stole a vehicle and it broke down. Apparently, I bet it was just out of gas. Is what the truth is. I mean, what are the odds that I stole a vehicle and then it just broke down? Right, but he was at a place where he had access to a key, right? How many people literally do the thing where they put their car keys in the sun shield, where you always see on the TV shows? Oh, yay! They flip it over and a spare set of keys comes falling down. I bet there isn't one person in the chat here that puts keys there. Yeah, okay, Kim. Yeah, okay. All right, yeah. Hey, everybody. Kim Berger said OnStar can stop the car. All right, we don't know anything about that. Sure. Okay, we don't know if it was OnStar or not. Could be anything. Yeah, so nobody ever does that. So how would the person have got the keys? How did they steal the vehicle? Oh, he hotwired it, Gray. It's one of those old... I doubt it, okay? So he probably had the keys somehow, and he's out there alone without a vehicle. So would he just walk across to the neighbors, or could it possibly be that there was some weird shit going down with the two friends, and that's why when Allyson got to the house where she made the phone call, she looked frightened and scared because something happened there. So they grabbed keys, got into a vehicle really quick. Well, another thing would be, how would he know which vehicle, what keys he needed to drive the vehicle? Were there a lot of vehicles, or was it just that owner's vehicle? And he gets in the vehicle, grabs her really quick. They take off, and then they're worried that somebody's after him at that point. And maybe there never really was anybody after him, but they thought there was. That's right. One thing I want to know though, Cairo, is were they behind the veil or not? Yeah. Yeah. I said that on the first show. I wish waterboarding was illegal. I mean legal. So you could literally take a guy like Ben and waterboard him until he gives you some information. I'm sure they've talked to all those people. We're just not going to get to know those answers. I'm sure they've talked to the friends. And as a matter of fact, the friend was on Facebook, and I messaged him. And he did respond, but I haven't heard... just a quick answer, and then he never responded to anything else again. He was claiming that the truck was on his property. And it's possible that was right here, okay? Which is, mildly interesting, but why would they have walked way up here, then back down here if that was where the truck was? I don't know. Brussels sprouts. Yuck. Okay. Anyways, I think that's going to be it for me tonight, everybody. Oh, there's Jay Case just showed up. Yeah, thanks, Jay. Yeah, you'll have to go back and watch it. It was a good interview, I think. She told us a lot of information. We got to know Allyson a little bit better. I guess she has some sort of Tourette syndrome, and that made her a little bit have some anxiety about herself, and so she was took Xanax, got a little bit addicted to it, but was just kind of coming off of that. She was a really good person, artistic, all kinds of things like that. And then it moved into, getting into the details of what Misty knows about the case, and just stuff like that. I think by the time you're done, you get a really pretty good feeling of what's going on. Yeah, I think they made it to the friend's house. Remember the original story was they were on the way to a friend's house and the car broke down. Something like that. It was just so different. I don't know if she was going to college, but her brother is. Yeah, that's right. The hiking. Yeah, it was like they went hiking and the car broke down, but they went hiking on the way. See, that never made sense, right? They were going to a friend's house, and then they went hiking, and then the car broke down. But what do you mean? But it turns out that they were out there for 2 days at this friend's house that's out there. It's one of his friends is out there. That's the place that he stays. So that's all in the interview. The house that they were out in North Plains out here is a house that he stays at when he's not allowed to be at home because of his drug use. So he has a place to stay out there, and that's where they went together. And then something went south later on in the weekend. Yeah, lots of weirdness. Okay, all right. I'm done, everybody. I'm gonna come back on tomorrow. I might actually try to get a hold of Kay and Larry, right? About the I think he called. What did we determine? The Rexville case? Rexburg, I mean, not Ville. Villeberg, what's the difference? I don't really call it Chad and Lori. It's more about JJ and Tylee anyways. But yeah, Chad and Lori Daybell. Good stuff. Okay, so thank you to Crystal, a.k.a. Beaver Gaming Sub, and Lanky Tor. Patricia M. and Kim Berger. And I think Amanda Belg always does it on... Hold on. And Amanda Belg on PayPal. Thank you. Yes, this is a no remote viewing. You can watch the channel if you're a remote viewer or a psychic. You just can't comment and pretend that you know something, okay? Because you don't. And you're just leeches on society. Now, I do believe that there are... You know, the funny thing is I believe that there are some paranormal sort of things that happen out there. Okay, but psychics and, you know, the ones that, oh yeah, I see the, forget it. Okay, it's not happening. We look at crimes on this channel using facts to speculate reasonably, and that's pretty much my mission statement, right? Is we look at the facts in a case, and if the facts change, we adapt to those facts and keep speculating reasonably on those facts. Now, who are you? Now, here's what it sounds like.
Well, who are you to decide what is reasonable?
Well, you know reasonable when you see it or hear it. You know what I'm saying?
You're so mean.
Yeah, poor you. Yeah. So, I'm going to do the, I'm going to pick mopping here. Again, this is where I go fly fishing. I haven't been there for a while, a couple of years, but... Hey, what happened to it? Oh, it's right over here. There you go. I've driven through it recently. Yeah, Tiger Woods has fly fished out here many times. Yep, that's the Deschutes. And Moppin. Huge Deschutes red side rainbow trout out here. One more round. You know, it was funny today. I was fishing with a friend of mine, or not fishing, golfing with a friend of mine, and oh, that's kind of a cool little cabin there. I was golfing with a friend of mine, and I was telling about how when I was young, just up the road here, I was walking around in a creek, and I found one of those hellbenders. You know what a hellbender is? They're like a little a newt. You know, they live in the water and they eat crayfish. They're pretty big. And he's like, wow, aren't those endangered? And I said, yeah, they taste great too. Got a good laugh out of him. That's my kind of humor though. You know what I'm saying? Aren't those endangered? Yeah. And they taste great too. Oh man. My God, my wife came in and said, "Great, look at this, look at this, look at this." Guess what it was? The Chris Watts special on TV. I was like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Are you showing me the Chris Watts? I'm going to have to talk to her about that. Oh no, Chris Watts! Oh God! Oh, say it! Oh man, I can't even speak. Look how small the river's getting over there. Oh, that's crazy. It's little. Anyways. All right, everybody. Thank you all for showing up tonight. And I hope you guys, thought that was interesting, that interview. I thought it was as well. Hey, thanks, Jay Case. Yeah, I was wondering if that was, is that a rap? Let's see. Thanks, UZ, the Freakazoids, and the Wrench. Oh. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it.
Thanks HUZEE, the FRE aka ZOIDS, and the wrenchers have an easy job in this family. Trolls are few and far between.
True that. True that. Yeah, definitely. If you come on the show and you're a psychic or a seer, you won't last long. Okay. I'm sorry, because true crime should have nothing to do with that. Yes, I know some cops and everybody, they talk to psychics and stuff, but I think they're just like everybody else. We figure shit out, what's logical, and sometimes you're right. As a matter of fact, we're right, like, I'd say 70% of the time we're really close on our theories to what actually happened. Right? Does that make us psychic? No, it sure doesn't. Freakazoids. Yeah. Okay. All right, everybody. That is it. And I'm just kind of, I guess that's the gray only shot. Let me get the cool full shot here. And then on the 28th, we're going to be loading this sucker up here with more money. All right. This is the year total so far in donations, which are cool. And, you know, we're going to keep on trucking, trying to figure things out. Okay, so now we're down to 167 people. All the cool people stayed. Alright, everybody, that's it. Until next time, everybody, be safe out there, too.